Season 2, Episode 1, What We've Learned.
Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of How to Survive Until You're Published.
Because if you're drowning in words, so are we, and you might as well not do it alone.
So, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
I feel like it feels like even longer because at the end there we just had everything pre-recorded.
Yeah, so we didn't really do a lot of stuff together right there at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of all snowballed.
So the first episode we kind of wanted to cover some updates, what we've learned during the massive break in our podcast, why we took a break, and this also kind of correlates with breaks in writing a little bit that we took as well, and just an update with where we're at in our writing journey.
Yeah, just where we're doing, how we're doing.
Yeah, but before we get into that, we will do some admin stuff, get that out of the way. So with the podcast, we will be doing things a little bit differently. We'll still be following the arc structure where a few episodes are tied together by themes and topics. Yeah. But the heart of the season will just be episodes that Amy and I do, just us.
Yeah, we kind of realized we had a lot of guests. And while that's super helpful, we got some feedback that said we just like the episodes with just the two of you talking. So we thought we'd kind of make that more of a focus.
Yeah, and it was also kind of why we started, right? Because it's two friends talking about writing. Yeah. It's great to get other people's, but that's definitely part of it. Also, we will be premiering episodes every other week instead.
So we don't die.
Yeah. Hopefully this will help with burnout and just support the longevity of the podcast.
And just balancing everything out.
Yes.
Because that's a lot to do.
Yes, definitely. As we kind of mentioned before, we still will have guest authors. We do already have a lot of them lined up for you.
Not too many. But.
Not too many, but we do already have quite a few in there. And it might just be a little bit different because it might not always tie in with the arc that we're covering.
Yeah, we want to do it to benefit our authors. So some of them might be posted when their, for example, their book is going to be published, or just when scheduling works out. So it might just be on an off week or on an on week. It just
kind of depends.
So, yeah.
We also did notice too that with our guests, while they probably will still touch on some of the writing topics and general how-tos with writing or advice, it's going to be focused a lot more on the businessy side of things, how they've networked, how they've queried, how they've broken into publishing, things like that.
Which is helpful because, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know what we're doing. So.
Yeah. And then another kind of side thing. While most of our episodes are going to be both of us talking, there may be an episode where one of us takes the lead on a topic. So Amy might be doing most of the speaking, where I might just prompt, or vice versa.
Yeah, which is kind of fun.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to our strengths. But yeah, just disclaimer, this is all up for change. Because we're trying to kind of go with the flow this season and kind of think about what we're feeling, what we're passionate about in a certain moment. So if something changes, just brace yourself.
Yep. I think that goes with the surviving theme of our podcast.
It'll be great. We're here to help you. Okay, now that you know what's coming, we're going to jump into our topic. Kind of like we said before, we're going to talk kind of about our experience that we've had the last few months. It's been, at least for me, quite a whirlwind. So
I'd say the same.
Yeah, a lot of things have happened. So first question, why the long break? So Megan.
Well, I was pregnant, and I'm not a good pregnant person. Was part of it, but also I think burnout is a real thing. I just, I don't handle pregnancy well, hormonally, sick-wise. So I just was not up for doing a lot. But also, I think in a way it was my body and life just telling me that I needed to chill out and take a break and just not do as much.
Yeah, which is hard to do sometimes. For me, super similar. I think last summer was rough. There's just a lot going on, and juggling a lot was hard. And so it was just kind of needed a full stop on the brakes. Let's take a breather. Let's relax. Let's remember that you know, we're human.
We like writing.
Yeah, that we like writing. We like being here, and that we want to do this podcast. So, but yeah, burnout is 100% real.
And I think too, like that was part of it for me. I didn't actually write at all for pretty much 9 months. The only thing I wrote,
Which is not bad.
No, it's not.
Thing. It's a great thing.
It was a good thing. It was a good forced break. It actually made me reflect a lot on my writing. Because I went from having taken 5 years to write one draft of one novel to, I think last year I was on draft 5 of a story in a year's span of time. And that's, it's a lot. It's a lot of writing. Yeah. Kind of a similar situation. We'd set really lofty goals for ourselves. And I think it was good that we pushed ourselves. But it might have been a bit much, and I think both needed the break to chill out. Yeah.
I think you kind of have to sometimes push yourself too far to know where your limits should be. At least, like, for me. So, like, for me, I got into October and was knowing I was going to do NaNoWriMo, write 50,000 words, but I was exhausted in October, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
That.
Yeah. And so, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it. And so I got like, I think 35,000, which is fine. And then finished my draft in January, and I was gonna send it over to an editor. And I remember I had a video call with her, and she said, you know, it's usually recommended after you finish a draft to take like at least 3 months break. And I remember being like, 3 months?
Yeah.
Like, what? 3 months? That's so long.
I think at times I'd give myself a couple of weeks. Which,
Yeah. But, so I, like, 3 months was the best decision I've ever made for myself.
Yeah. And we will talk more about burnout, how to avoid it, just different things like that, and tips for, I don't know, just writing and more motivational things in another episode, because I think it does deserve its own full episode. We kind of talked a bit about it last season, just more with writer's block, because I think it can manifest itself as writer's block. But we're going to segue into our next question, which is just, where are you at in your writing journey and what's new?
Well, okay. So just a little update. Back in October, I went to a conference and I pitched my book to 3 publishers, and I got the please send it to me from all 3, which was awesome. And we're gonna,
Yay, congrats.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about pitching in another one, because I learned a lot about pitching. And so that was awesome. So I was super pumped, but also super burned out, but didn't know it at that point. And so, yeah, I rushed to finish my draft by January, and then took a break, and my break ended probably about 3 weeks ago, and I have had a lot of insane inspiration since then.
Well, that's awesome. I look forward to seeing how the story develops further, and to hearing how it goes when you send it back to the editors and publishing houses.
That will happen hopefully this summer. That is the goal.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we'll give you like a midsummer update then.
Yeah, probably. I have left the country. Just kidding.
She's in hiding now.
I'm in hiding.
Okay, so where am I at in my writing journey, and what's new? Well, what's new? I had a baby.
Yay!
Writing journey. I realized I was writing in the wrong genre. That was probably like the biggest thing. So I have set aside my heist story that I was working on for a second, because I need to figure out how to adapt it to my new genre and like new voice, if that makes sense. But I've started working on a new project. I'm on chapter 2, which is exciting. I have an editor critiquing the first 15 pages of it, which is about all that I have written so far, because I rushed to finish that to send it to her. So we'll see how that goes. She'll be giving
better than nothing. Yeah, you know,
she'll give me the critique in May, but we'll see if changing my genre and my voice helps with my writing. I felt like it flowed a lot better.
Yeah, I just feel like, so this is just like my thought, just knowing Megan. You read more.
Yes.
Adult.
Yes.
And that's like what you love and thrive on. And so I think that's kind of a good thing to look at. If you read a lot of middle grade, but you're trying to write young adult, maybe think about writing middle grade, and see if that's what fits you. And it wouldn't surprise me if I had this moment in like 2 years.
Yeah, I can see it.
So I'm just predicting the future here.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a big thing. So I guess I didn't really like talk about genre, but I did realize that the story that I wanted to tell was not fitting into the typical YA coming of age story or like hero's journey. And no matter how much I tried to smash the story in to fit different beats to fit that, and Save the Cat writes a novel, that's just not the story my characters wanted to tell. And it's not the path they were going to take. So it was rough.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I was kind of hitting my head against a wall and could not write. Yeah.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah, you're doing something a little wrong when it's painful.
Yeah. So now I gotta figure out how to shift directions to that. More adult fantasy and adult horror even. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's awesome. So, for me, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you guys, like, the best 3 months of my life, I have never, best decision I ever made. So, if you're at the point where you're ready to light your novel on fire in a bonfire and celebrate, take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break and take at least 2 months, maybe 3, because it changed me. So, first,
this does kind of segue into like our next question though.
Yeah.
Which is like, what did you learn through this break? Because obviously we learned a lot taking a step back from writing. So,
yeah,
Amy.
so I'm just going to kind of there's like just a few things. The biggest thing was, relating to burnout. I honestly didn't realize I was burned out. Like, I really didn't. I am the type of person, and I will say I have ADHD. I can run at 1,000 miles an hour and not stop, and I feel totally fine, which I have had many people tell me I need to slow down. So I'm working on that. But I had been working on this manuscript for 2 years. Same manuscript, no breaks on anything else, because for some reason I just have single brain when it comes to writing. And I somehow expected it to work. And I still don't understand how I did that to myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think taking a step back allows you to view maybe flaws in the plot or like the story itself, figure out your characters a bit better. Yeah. It's like you're just, like you said, hyperfixating on something and you're not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah. It's like I had in my mind for some reason that if I sat and stared at the problem and tried to fix it, that it would get fixed. Like, the idea of taking a step back to fix the problem just didn't make sense to me.
What's that quote about, like, approaching things the same way and, like, can you really expect different results if you are doing the same thing over and over again? Yeah. So, so sometimes you just got to drop it. Like, just finish it or not finish it and just say, you know what, I'm not going to write at all. And it was really tough for the first month because I was still thinking about my book all the time, constantly. And I had to kind of get it out of my system. And I just kind of went, just live my life. And then as the 3 months kind of came to an end, I started slowly getting inspiring ideas. And that was the coolest part. It wasn't I wasn't forcing it. It was kind of oh, this could work, and this could work, and this could work. And it just started clicking. So last thing, really quick, the other thing I learned was kind of relating to theme. One thing from our last season, somebody in our last season talked about how you want to take a part of yourself and put it inside your book. And I was having a hard time with that. I didn't know how to relate my experiences to my protagonist. And I was able to have some really cool experiences during my 3 months, and it opened my eyes to how I could do that. And so that we're excited about that. And I'm more driven to write my novel than I've been before. And then I also was able to reflect on just overall, my whole purpose in writing, and reflecting on how I wanted to structure my writing career and everything like that. And
being able to take a step back and look at it that way kind of helped me have a whole vision of where I wanted to go. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of going back to what you said on theme, I think theme is honestly kind of what helped me really realize my story's not YA.
that's awesome.
As we're sitting here talking about this, I'm like, oh yeah. Because I was sitting there staring at Save the Cat Writes a Novel's theme page. And I love the book. Yeah. But I, for the life of me, could not be like, this is a theme that they're learning throughout this. And like, I realized my character's theme they needed to learn was trust. But that it just didn't fit into the hero's journey. And no matter how much I tried to shove it in there, it just wasn't working. But to actually like pull that theme through in a way that I felt was meaningful for the story.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of like your purpose in writing is you're sort of teaching your readers about something, right? And being able to make that theme feel so genuine.
Yeah.
You gotta move everything.
And I think it kind of ties back to what you were saying about like pulling that piece of your experience out to put it into your fictional world, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, theme. Theme is important.
Yes, theme is the best. Yeah, that's one thing I remember our last season we talked about. Theme is so important, but now I actually know that it is the most important thing.
Funny how it kind of smacks you in the face sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a general overview, and we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about this, some of the other tools that we've learned about during our break, how we approach plotting, all those good things, and just more writing topics in general. In fact, the next episode we plan on doing was picking which tools work for you.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good place to end this one. Yeah. So, Amy, what is our challenge for our listeners?
Yay! So our challenge is for you to take some time and reflect. Think about the big picture of your story, of your writing career, your theme. theme. Yeah. Just take some time to just reflect. And I mean, just as a side note, if you get that little feeling in the back of your head, maybe I should take a break, listen to it, because you should take a break.
Because burnout's real. Yeah.
It's very real. Because if you're drowning in words, then so are we, and you might as well not do it alone.